That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, guys, in yesterday's video, we talked about some young sell-high wide receivers, and I was expecting hate. I'm not going to lie. I was expecting a ton of hate coming my way, and honestly, we got exactly what we wanted. And what we wanted is, like I said at the beginning of the video, I wanted y'all to hear me out, and I wanted you to go down to the comment section and let me know why you thought I was wrong on certain players, because like I've said so many times before, if we have thousands of people watching these videos, I'm not going to be arrogant enough to say that I'm the smartest guy in the room. While I'm extremely confident with my Dynasty abilities, while I'm extremely confident on my player evaluations here, we can understand that we're not going to be right about everything. So y'all made a ton of great points down in the comment section of yesterday's video, and you have me thinking about a player like Jerry Jeudy in a little bit of a different light. So please just take that energy going forward with all these videos. If you disagree with something I say, I promise you, you're not going to hurt my feelings. You can be as mean to me as you want down in the comment section. As long as you tell me why you think I'm wrong, that is perfectly fine. And quick announcement, if you have not already, over on Patreon, make sure, guys, if you made a Patreon pledge, if you joined our Patreon flock a couple months ago, I lowered all the prices across all tiers just because we're going to have way more time to spend over on Patreon now that I'm graduating this month. So I can't manually edit your pledge where you're paying less at the end of the month. But if that's something you want to do and you still get everything that you got before, please go over to Patreon, edit your pledge. That way you just get charged less at the end of the month, because I don't want everybody else getting charged less while you're still paying the old price. Please go and make that change yourself. But anyway, let's not waste any time here. Let's just get right into these young running backs that we are going to be looking to sell. And let's get into one of the most polarizing players in Dynasty this offseason. Let's get into James Robinson. And okay, so guys, we've kind of had a wild roller coaster with James Robinson, where at the beginning of the offseason, I was going, you know what? With these undrafted free agent running backs, as soon as they pop, even those day 3 running backs, I am always the first guy to come out here and say, sell, sell, sell. At the running back position, opportunity is everything. Really doesn't matter if you've already shown that you have tremendous talent. If you don't have the contract, you don't have the team investment. We have seen time and time again that NFL teams over a long haul, they're not going to give you the respect that you deserve. So we understood that with James Robinson, yet James Robinson's rookie season was incredibly special. If you just looked at how he got that workload and how many carries, but more importantly, what his role was in the receiving game on a week-to-week basis, James Robinson was not only one of the best rookie running backs coming out of being an undrafted free agent of all time, he was actually just one of the best rookie running backs ever. If you look at the pure workload that he got, and obviously he's not going to be incredibly efficient with that workload when he's playing on the worst team in the NFL. So James Robinson last year was, maybe you could make the argument, the most impressive running back in the entire NFL. So at the end of the season, at the beginning of the offseason, we said, you know what? Yes, usually my first instinct is going to be to sell these undrafted guys, sell these guys that don't have the team investment at the running back position. But I feel like James Robinson's different. I feel like James Robinson is the one guy that's going to break this rule. And now we are going into the NFL draft. And the problem is, with James Robinson, I am completely fine still saying he is going to be the starting running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to have a better offense with Trevor Lawrence coming in. Hopefully, they're also getting a head coach upgrade, but that we can't say for sure. But we can definitely say that the overall efficiency and the overall production of the offense is going to go up with Trevor Lawrence. And if you're the starting running back on that team, which I promise you, James Robinson's going to be. It's not like Jacksonville is going to be taking a Travis Etienne. It's not like they're going to be taking a Najee Harris. James Robinson looked way too good in his rookie season for them to do that. But the problem is where you get to the running backs that they're being mocked to go in the second round, third round, and Jacksonville is just loaded up with those picks. I mean, you see a Kenneth Gainwell going to Jacksonville, and what I would be worried about is if they take one of those receiving running backs, would they then decide to, instead of give James Robinson the 25 touches a game that he saw last season, are they then going to scale it back to 15 touches a game? Because you simply don't want your running back seeing that large of a workload season after season after season. Now, James Robinson was able to get that workload last year because think about the other running backs we were looking at in the backfield. I mean, my guy that I invested into before Leonard Fournette got cut, my guy that I thought was the running back 2 there, Raquel Armstead, has clearly proved to have no talent whatsoever. Some other guys like Divine Exigbo that other people were investing into at that same time, he clearly is not a quality NFL running back. So we are just uncertain what the James Robinson workload is going to look like when you get another quality NFL running back in there. And I think they're going to, simply because the running back 2 in Jacksonville doesn't have NFL talent. He literally is not going to be able to be an NFL player for probably longer than another season. So this team is looking at the running back position going, you know what? Right now, we have probably the worst running back room in the entire NFL outside of our starter. We have the worst running back depth in the entire NFL. We are paying our starter literally absolutely nothing. He's an undrafted free agent. We have no commitment to him. Let's go and let's take a running back. Let's take a running back to pair with Trevor Lawrence. Let's go get a Kenneth Gainwell. Let's go get one of those depth running backs that can take 8 to 10 touches a game. And I'm just a little bit worried that James Robinson may turn from a workhorse running back to a committee running back. But I'm not saying sell James Robinson, go all in. What I'm saying is, if you also share my concerns, I think you would maybe be at a benefit to just put out some feelers. Just go and talk around the league. Say, hey, will you give me an Antonio Gibson? Will you give me Miles Sanders? These other running backs that have also been impressive early on in their NFL careers that maybe have some more team investment, those second, third round picks. Just see if you have a James Robinson truther in your league, because James Robinson is a very talented running back. Nobody is going to argue against that. But the argument is, I do not see the workload being the same in 2021 that it was in 2020. Okay, so now our next running back is not going to be a sell high running back. If anything, he's going to be a sell low running back. But we have to talk about him here. Josh Jacobs. So, to be honest, I thought that there was a chance we would be buying Josh Jacobs after Kenyon Drake signed in Las Vegas. But based on the last few Patreon Dynasty startup drafts we've done, Jacobs is still going in a range where I am just not even thinking about him there. I mean, he is going in the range with some other wide receivers like a T. Higgins, a Brandon Ayuk, and I'm sitting there going, guys, there's no upside here with Josh Jacobs. There's no upside in the slightest. We have seen so far through 2 years in his NFL career that they refuse to target him coming out of the backfield. They refuse to make him that workhorse we thought he could be coming out of Alabama. They have consistently tried to make him a first and second down running back while not having any great other options in the backfield, while having Jalen Richard. Now they bring in Kenyon Drake, and I just thought everybody assumed right away that Kenyon Drake was going to be in a committee. Kenyon Drake wasn't brought in to just be a straight up backup. But based on the prices where he is going in these Dynasty startup drafts, it looks like not everyone's on board with that assessment. Now, another thing that we have to focus in on is we have to focus in on the fact that not only is Josh Jacobs not going to have the potential to be a 3-down workhorse running back this year, but we know that you don't have to be a 3-down workhorse running back to be an elite fantasy asset. You don't have to have that even if you are going to be losing touches to another running back in your backfield. You can jump up to be that mid running back 1 if you are playing in a highly efficient offense. You can be an Aaron Jones and play alongside Jamal Williams. Jamal Williams can get his 12 touches a game, and Aaron Jones can still be a running back 1 if you're playing in the Green Bay Packers offense, who have an elite run blocking offensive line, who have an elite quarterback that can drive up the efficiency of the overall offense, where Josh Jacobs now is playing on a team that should easily project to be in the bottom half of overall offensive efficiency. They have had a very bad offseason, missing out on multiple starters from their offensive line, an offensive line that wasn't elite to begin with. So now they are getting a downgrade at O-line. They're capped with their overall ceiling based on the quarterback play coming from Derek Carr. Now, Josh Jacobs is going to be losing even more touches to Kenyon Drake. So I don't understand it. People have dropped his value, but they haven't dropped it enough, in my opinion, because he simply doesn't have the access for 3 different reasons to be a running back 1 in fantasy. So Josh Jacobs, if his ceiling's going to be a running back 2, I'm just going to be looking to sell. I would rather have one of those young wide receivers like a T. Higgins, like a Brandon Ayuk. Go get someone that has upside, that can be around for a very long time as well. So Josh Jacobs going to be a sell for me. Okay, now let's get to another running back. This guy actually a little bit older here. I'm going to make the criteria for quote-unquote calling you a young running back that you're still on your rookie contract. If you're on your rookie contract, we're going to be calling you a young guy. And this next one is going to be Nick Chubb. And first thing we have to say with Nick Chubb is, I understand, guys, we have been lower on Nick Chubb than consensus for the past 2 years now. And for the past 2 years now, Nick Chubb will have a game where he goes out there and he makes a couple highlight plays. He gets 22 carries. He racks up 111 yards, and he gets a touchdown to go along with it. And everybody is staring us down going, Mason, apologize about Nick Chubb. Apologize right now for saying that he is overvalued in fantasy when you draft him as a mid to low end running back 1. And whenever he gets that typical Nick Chubb stud running back line, whenever he goes out there and he rushes for 111 yards, gets a rushing touchdown to go along with it, and sees no usage in the receiving game, he ends up as a low end running back 1, high end running back 2, because that's how fantasy works. That's how a PPR league works, where if you're not getting consistent targets out of the backfield, you just are never going to be the Dalvin Cook. You're never going to be the Christian McCaffrey. You're never going to be the Saquon Barkley. You can't even be the Ezekiel Elliott. Now, in the case of Nick Chubb, this past year, if you take away the injury, he had the best season possible. He had everything go right for him. And you had the number 1 ranked offensive line from the Cleveland Browns, according to PFF, for Nick Chubb. So with that number 1 ranked offensive line, with the efficiency of the offense being extremely high, Nick Chubb still comes out and he doesn't disappoint fantasy owners. I mean, he meets expectations based on his ADP. But if you see all these scenarios outside of the injury, of course, just going Nick Chubb's way, Nick Chubb's getting a lucky break here, lucky break here, lucky break here, and he is still only a low end running back 1 in fantasy, that's where you have to go, what's the upside? Because I just do not think that he has that Dalvin Cook type upside when he's going to be playing in an offense with Kareem Hunt. They gave Kareem Hunt an extension on that contract last offseason. So now Nick Chubb's in a scenario where, in my opinion, yes, you can make the argument that he is the most talented running back in the entire NFL. You could make the argument that he is the best pure running back in the entire NFL. But when Kareem Hunt is getting targeted out of the backfield, when this is a committee, even with the Cleveland Browns having an elite offensive line, Nick Chubb doesn't have the workload to be one of those elite running backs in fantasy. So I think people see the highlight plays, people know the talent that he is, and they want to just be all in on Nick Chubb. Where I say this all the time, we are not drafting a real NFL team here. Yes, Nick Chubb can be easily a top 3 running back in terms of pure NFL talent, but if he is not getting the workload because Kareem Hunt's in town, that doesn't mean he is that elite fantasy asset. He also has a significant injury history. He also is a lot older than some other running backs that were in that same draft. So Nick Chubb, so many signs are pointing to him being a sell. If the offensive line regresses at all, you could see Nick Chubb falling from being a low-end running back 1 to a high to mid running back 2 based on Kareem Hunt getting the workload, and if you see the offensive line regress for any reason. Okay, so now our next player is also going to be kind of a sell low, to be honest, in that same light as a Josh Jacobs. This is going to be Ronald Jones, and the problem with Ronald Jones here is he just doesn't have access to upside. Now, when you're rostering running backs in this range, when you're rostering running backs as your running back 3 or running back 4, depending on obviously what strategy you're going with, you are looking for upside. You're looking for a pass-catching running back that has the size to be a 3-down guy where if you see another injury in his backfield, he can vault up and he can be that running back 1. Now, if we just go and we compare a Ronald Jones to a Tony Pollard, let's look at these profiles, because right now Ronald Jones is going ahead of Tony Pollard in these Dynasty Patreon startup drafts that we are doing, and I simply don't understand why. Because on one hand, with Ronald Jones, yes, you're probably going to be getting a running back that sporadically will average 10 to 12 carries in a game, but he's not going to have any usage in the receiving game. We've seen time and time again that Rojo just simply can't cut it on third down. So with Rojo, you're hoping that he's going to be getting 10 to 12 carries. And if you see an injury in that backfield, if you see Leonard Fournette go down, then all of a sudden you still have Keyshawn Vaughn, you still have Giovanni Bernard there. Now, in the case of Tony Pollard, where no, he's not going to be getting 12 carries a game, but what could he get? He could end up getting 3 to 4 receptions a game. And those 3 to 4 receptions in a PPR format, when we know that yards per reception are always going to be significantly higher than yards per carry, those 4 receptions a game for Tony Pollard can already make him outproduce Ronald Jones. And then if we look at just the range of outcomes with what could happen through the course of the season, if you see a running back injury in Tony Pollard's backfield with Ezekiel Elliott going down, Tony Pollard automatically becomes a top 10 running back in fantasy. And Rojo, it doesn't matter what you dream up. It doesn't matter what you were thinking. He does not have access to that kind of upside. So in the case of Ronald Jones, I'm just tired of getting questions saying, oh, mid-second round rookie pick or Ronald Jones, because at this point in his career, with what we've seen from Tampa Bay bringing in other running backs, I think we can safely say that Rojo doesn't have access to that top 10 potential. So I'm ready to move on, because if he's not going to be a league-winning running back, why are you going to be drafting him? Just get a Nyheim Hines a little bit later. Just get someone else that can give you 8 PPR points a game. I mean, there's no reason to pay up for a running back that's only going to give you a decent floor with no ceiling when there are going to be cheaper options later in the draft. Okay, so we already spoke on one running back that we have always been low on. Now let's go to another, and let's talk about David Montgomery. And here with David Montgomery, I mean, it's so simple to look at and call him a sell. So yes, he's on his rookie contract. Yes, he has the capability to be a 3-down running back, which you love both of those things. But in the case of Montgomery, we have seen 2 different stories. 2 things happen in his NFL career, 2 different game scripts where he has been a completely different fantasy asset in each one. The first one, games that Tariq Cohen is healthy. When Tariq Cohen is healthy, despite whatever you think of David Montgomery and his pass catching ability, despite whatever you think about Tariq Cohen, what we've ended up seeing is you end up seeing Tariq Cohen get snaps on third down. You see David Montgomery get his receptions per game, his touches per game drastically lowered with Tariq Cohen's presence. Now, when Tariq Cohen's gone, and this is why in redraft fantasy football this last season, as soon as Tariq Cohen was done for the year, we were all in on buying David Montgomery low. That was when consensus just was in agreement that David Montgomery was a very bad running back. And then what happened? Tariq Cohen goes down. David Montgomery vaults up to seeing that James Robinson type workload, because there are no other running backs in the backfield. Do you think they're going to be giving touches to Ryan Nall? That's not going to happen. So David Montgomery becomes one of those workhorse running backs in a very bad NFL offense. And because of raw volume, he's able to be an elite fantasy asset, where that's just not going to be the case with Tariq Cohen coming back. And if he is going to go back to being a running back that, yeah, he can still get a 3-down workload, he's just not going to be seeing that 90% opportunity share that he saw at the back half of last year. Then what we are looking at is a running back that is going to be an average running back in terms of his talent, playing in one of the worst offenses in the entire NFL. And with that volume coming down, you're not going to be able to expect that to outset what he lacks in talent, what he lacks in explosion. So David Montgomery is going to be the last player that we are looking to sell. Now, thank you guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope y'all got something from it. Of course, go down there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. It helps us out a ton. And yeah, that's it. I will see y'all with the video tomorrow. I want to give a big thank you for everyone joining the flock. Devin Strom, Alejandro, Mark, Jared, Caleb, and IV of Lean, Randotron, Micah, Larry, and Tyler.